Hello, I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from the capital of Northern British Columbia, Prince George. A beautiful day in Prince George because it's raining in Prince George, and we have had a lot of forest fires, so this helps to keep the forest down. And the fires down. Today, a very special guest. Her name is Angela Stewart.
Yes, hello.
Welcome on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm actually really excited to be here.
So we have known each other already for quite a while.
Yes.
Yeah, and you are into fitness, and in particular aerial fitness, but you're also an entrepreneur, and you've been in business for at least 15 years or so,
Yes.
and which is really amazing if I really think about it in terms of what you are doing in fitness. And fitness has become more and more popular during the time that you've been involved. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I have no dance or gymnastics background. I'm a web designer by trade. This is what I went to school for.
Okay.
And I started teaching pole fitness in my basement in 2008. I taught in my house for 3 years. I opened my first studio in 2010. I was there for 3 years. We moved in 2013, moved again in 2017, and I'm in my current location in First Avenue since then. We celebrated 15 years this past January, so we have Sweet 16 coming up. It's been wild. It's been fabulous, but it's been wild. Yeah.
And your specialty is aerial fitness.
Yes.
In particular. Just talking about your background a little bit more then, were you born in this region or are you...
No, I was born in the Lower Mainland.
Okay.
And I moved up here in 95. I was 11, so
Okay.
I've been here for the majority of my life.
And most of your education you got here in your
Yes,
background.
yeah.
So where did you get the training for... You've always, you're obviously very fit, that's very
Yeah.
obvious. So you've always been into fitness and...
A little bit. I started going to the gym, maybe 2005. Likely I was engaged to be married, and so myself and my best friend wanted to be fit for the wedding. So we joined the Y and then Golds, and we trained. And so that's kind of where I got started. I didn't really know what I was doing, but you play around the machines and figure it out. And when I first heard about pole fitness was, I think 2004 is when I first heard about it. I finally bought my first pole out of the UK because you couldn't buy them in North America at the time. So I bought it in 2007, it arrived, and I put it up in my living room. 2007, Facebook barely existed, Google, YouTube barely existed.
Yeah.
But there was videos and forums and chat rooms and stuff on the internet. So I would go on there and search what I could. And there was a book I had about pole fitness. And so I would go through that. And I had friends over on the weekends, and we would play around with what we had discovered on the internet. So we were kind of self-teaching. And at one point, one of my friends said, "Hey, I got this friend that heard about we're doing this. Can I bring her over next weekend?" And I wasn't a business. I was just somebody having friends over to play on this thing. And so I said, yeah, of course. And then more friends brought more friends. And I was in this tiny little townhouse, and I looked around, there was 15 women in my living room, and I didn't know half of them. And so my entrepreneurial brain kind of flipped and went, I'm not advertising this. This is just friends hanging out. So let's turn this into a thing. So I did my training, my teacher certification, which was via correspondence at the time. I got sent manuals. I had to mail DVDs of videos of me teaching, and they mailed back. I think there was a little bit of email, but mostly it was via mail. Exams to fill out, and I had to send again DVDs of videos of me teaching and doing the movements and so on and so forth. And I started teaching out of my house the following January 2008. So I started advertising in the Bargain Finder, and I think I had Facebook by then, but it was so new. I wasn't advertising on Facebook. I don't even know if there was advertising on Facebook back then quite yet. So
yeah, that's 15 years ago.
Yeah.
All of this whole thing in terms of social media and the internet and all the things that we can do is, if you really look at it,
Still fairly new.
it's all new.
Yep.
But you've been very, very active on it, because I kind of put Angel Fitness into the Google. I have a little bit of background on you, but I thought maybe I can find something else. And all of a sudden, I thought I'd find out a little bit about Angel, about aerial fitness.
Yeah.
So I put that in Google. And the first thing that shows up is your name.
Fabulous. It means I'm doing
and
it
I
right.
said, "Oh my God!" And so I was looking for general information, and so just kind of talking about fitness. That has changed so much in the last 10, 20 years and beyond. I became very involved, and I've always kind of been involved in fitness in some ways, but usually to the extent where it is a commitment. At New Year's Eve, I'm going to go to the gym and blah blah blah, buy the membership, and then go for 2 weeks and then find 100 reasons as to why I can't go anymore.
Yeah.
But I only became serious about it when I got a bit of a scare, that nearly died actually, and that I thought, I have to take this more serious in 2008. But even then, going to the gym, from my perspective, was always quite intimidating. If you go to the traditional gyms,
Yep.
in those days, 20, 30 years ago, I say it was mainly guys that would go, and they were these very intimidating individuals. And there I come there, I'm overweight, likely out of shape, and I don't even know how to use the equipment, and I was kind of being self-conscious and don't even know how to sit on the equipment, how to use it, but that has changed more and more towards,
Thank goodness.
people
Yes.
have become more aware of the importance of health and fitness and diet and everything around it and relating to it. And, but you're really a pioneer in the area in terms of fitness, I believe. And obviously I kind of watched you along the way, although we didn't meet too often, but we still knew about each other. And your location is very close to where I'm operating from. And, so the interesting part about aerial pole fitness, is something unique and different, and I've been in your shop or in your gym, and I find it just amazing what you guys do. But also there, I want you to talk about this a little bit, is that I can see it's mainly females that are going. Mm-hmm. My question also will be, are males doing it as well? Would be one. And then the other one is that if I would go from a female perspective, it's pretty intimidating, and seeing some of the people that, like yourself and some of your staff that have been with you for a long time, Leah comes to mind, and some other ones that have been around you. So how do you introduce people to saying, I like what you're doing, and how does it compare to some of the other fitness that people do, like yoga and all of those kinds of things? Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Well, we do. It is a predominantly female sport or modality. We've got the pole fitness and then aerial hoop, like you see in circus, aerial yoga. But it is mostly female. We do have several men. We've got lots of kids. Last couple of years, we've got more and more kids running around that place. Our youngest member is 7 years old, and she started at 6 years old. 9, 10, 11, 12 preteens and teenagers.
Perfect.
So of all genders. So it's absolutely fabulous. Men's pole fitness in competition, when I've watched and participated in competitions, the men's category has always been my favorite. They just move differently than women, generally speaking, and it's fabulous to watch. So that has a special place in my heart. Kids and teenagers and preteens in the studio is something that means a lot to me, which kind of flows into your next question of the studio and the sport being intimidating. We go out of our way to make that not happen.
Right.
When somebody signs up for a class or for a trial membership or what have you, we will text them. We do very, very little automated texts and emails. I don't like them. Nobody likes getting them. So we do everything manually. So if I saw that somebody had signed up today, I will text them and tell them how excited I am. My name is Angel. I'm so excited to meet you.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot of things. A liar's not one of them. I'm genuinely excited to meet this new person.
Yeah.
What are your goals? Do you know somebody that comes here? Like, can I help you line up your classes? When the day before or the morning of their first class, myself or one of my team will text them again. Hey, it's your first class today. Did you have any last minute questions? So-and-so is going to be on the front desk when you arrive. This person's your instructor. I'm so excited to meet you. You're going to have a little bit of paperwork when you come in a few minutes early. So when they come in, they already have the name to the face behind the desk, which I believe is a huge already kind of weight off the shoulders. There's something big about walking into a room and you don't know anybody. You don't really know what you signed up for. You don't know what you're doing. So if you can walk in and you already know that person's name and you know they're expecting you and they've maybe been the one that texted you.
And they're excited about you being there.
I think that really helps kind of take the edge off. Anybody in the room, both staff and member, like we've got such a fabulous community. If I see a face that I don't know, the first thing I do is introduce myself. We have 160 members. I know every single one of them.
Right.
So do all of my staff, whether I've got members I don't teach. They're in one of my other team's classes.
Sure.
But I know who they are because they're part of my studio family and they're important to me.
Yeah.
So, and that goes around. If there's a member sitting in the room, I will introduce themselves. This is so-and-so, so-and-so, this is this person. And so before they've walked into their first class, they have met and been introduced to at least 3 people before their first class has ever started.
You see, the way I would look at this from an entrepreneurial perspective is that's the base for your success, right? You know that once a person goes there, that you already will go out of your way, making sure that you make them comfortable, and that their success is your success.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and I understand. I mean, we've all done things or signed up for a class or something that we don't really know what we're getting into.
Right.
And I understand that unless you have done pole or hoop or aerial or whatever it is that you signed up for, unless you've done that in a different studio, you don't really know what you're signing up for. And that can be scary. So I don't want people to be nervous walking in, and I want them to know that we're genuinely excited to have them.
So I wouldn't want to, I'm imagining this and saying, I walk in there and there's the pole, we'll climb on the pole. I said, hello.
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm just being funny.
Yeah.
So there is no particular age limitation, either being young or older, I presume.
No, what we do is we have, if they're under the age of 10, and now every child and every person is different, but our kind of guideline is under the age of 10, we ask that a parent be in the class with them.
Yeah.
And we have our aerial yoga class, we do separate the adults and the children.
Yeah.
Only because our aerial yoga is a yoga class, and so it's quite quiet. They do their shavasana for a good 5 minutes. And young children don't have the attention span.
Yeah.
So we run a kids aerial yoga class.
Yeah.
But like the 7-year-old is in our pole class and she keeps up with the grown-ups. Our expectations are the same and she keeps up.
So all comes in the same studio. So your studio is open from when to when?
Our classes run between 5 and 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And we run one-on-one private training in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So the studio,
So your day is full.
Oh, yeah.
The usage of the studio.
Oh, yeah.
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 And, so the other part that I find so interesting about it is that obviously you've been immensely successful. Having any business for 15 years already makes you a success. Any business,
Yeah.
right? To get to that point that it is now an established business, then obviously you can't do it alone. To build the team around you, you have done that, and
Yeah.
obviously build a reputation around it. And so tell me, and for the people that are watching from around the world, is that what is so unique about the equipment, like the pole, or because that it has to be stable and steady and able, because once you use the pole, and especially, and I've seen and watched that put a lot of pressure on the structure. So how do you...
How does it not fall?
Correct.
Yes, okay. So the poles in our studio are 12 feet high, and they're bolted into the ceiling.
Right.
So it can't ever fall.
Right.
If it, when we're setting it up, we slide it into the top and tighten it, so it's pressure mounted to the floor,
right,
but it's bolted into the ceiling. So in order for that pole to fall, you have to cave in the entire ceiling and everything else around. It won't happen.
No.
The poles that we use are the same poles used in the national and international competitions.
Okay.
So they're top of the line. They'll weight rating is almost 1,000 pounds, which is important to me. All of our equipment, I don't ever want to ask a person what they weigh to make sure they can take the class.
Right.
I want to be able to stack baby elephants on my equipment.
Yeah.
So and they spin. They have this little mechanism on the bottom that you twist it, and the pole itself will spin on its own, and you twist it again and it stays static, and take them down. We did a show at Theatre Northwest a few weeks ago, and we took our poles down and we set up at Theatre Northwest, put them up over there, did a show. So they're portable, they're fabulous.
Amazing. It's also an international sport, right?
100% it is.
And
yeah.
are the competitions and all of that?
Yes.
It's not part of the Olympics yet.
No, they've been pushing for a while. There's national. I used to compete provincially. I've judged provincial competitions. Friends of mine have competed nationally and internationally. There's Canadian American competitions. It's really big in Europe and Australia.
Yeah.
So it's Singapore.
So is it kind of like you judging, that there is certain routines that are expected? Both my wife and myself, we ride English dressage horses.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm supposedly also bodybuilder. Doing bodybuilding and physique and all, and there is certain routines that are expected once you're competing, and and that are fairly standard and are expected. You're doing well. Is that some of the things that you then also train for?
Yeah. So there's not so much like bodybuilding. They're looking for certain poses.
Yeah.
But the grading system, depending on the category that you sign up for. So I'm actually want to go back and competing next year. I turned 40 this fall, and so I'll be in the masters category.
Wow.
So I really want to give that a go. I haven't competed in a few years,
I love it.
Next spring I'll be back into it, and I'll be in the competition category with its own category. There's a low flow, which is less about the big tricks, more about fluidity. My category that I want to be in is more about the complexity and the big tricks on the pole. And so we're judged on a few different merits, one being your stage presence and connection with your audience, your theme. So the theme of your routine, is it something we've seen 1,000 times, or is it original? Do your movements coincide with your theme, or is it a sad theme but you're doing big dynamic movements that don't make any sense? Your musicality, are you performing to the music, or could we play anything in the background and it would make no difference? And then, of course, we have the difficulty of your moves and combinations that you do, and how you move from one trick to the other trick. Is it a dance, or are you just trick with no sense of musicality or
Right.
or performance. So, and then pointing your toes is another category, which is a kind of an ongoing joke in the industry, not because it's not valid, but as an instructor, I am constantly telling my students to point their toes.
Yeah.
So, and
Is
that's
that something that
your toe point is worth 12% of your mark in a competition.
is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, so interesting.
Yeah.
And is that difficult to do for a lot of people?
The act of sitting and pointing your toes through, no. But when your right arm is doing one thing and your left is doing the other, and core and back and this leg and that leg, usually the last thing on their mind
Is your toe.
is the toe point. But it makes such a world of difference in the look of the move.
Yeah.
When I teach my flexibility, I actually put a lot of focus in the toe because it forces you to get the mind connection all the way down to the end of the line.
Right.
So it's really interesting when someone's doing something and I say point their toe, and I'll see their foot kind of wiggle, but the connection isn't there yet. So that's it's a huge part of training,
But it's
incidentally,
part
as
of
well.
I know they have to be pointed.
Yeah.
So I'm mentally thinking about them.
Yeah, as top of everything else. Yeah.
So what I find interesting, Angel, that you're being very honest about, and you look great for your age, obviously.
Thank you.
Interesting, if I look at myself and you, I'm going to be 83 November the 1st, and I've been competitive bodybuilding, qualified for the nationals in the Arnold's pre-COVID, and again going to the gym right now in gold, in fact, and with a trainer, and trying to compete again next year, because age is just a number.
It really is.
And then the other part that I'm doing, I'm an author, as you know.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen all the books, and I'll make sure that you have them.
Please, yes.
I'm going to put them down here. I don't know if you've seen this one, Against All Odds.
That's the newest one, yes?
Yeah,
Yes.
This is the first one that I wrote,
okay.
autobiography. Then I wrote the other one, ADHD.
That's right.
And, and then this is the newest one, Finding Your Passion, Living the Dream.
Fabulous.
And so I'll sign this for you.
Fabulous. I'm a big reader, actually, so that's amazing. Thank you.
And then I'm doing another one, on living young, dying old.
Oh, good.
And the whole idea there is that it's about quality of life more than anything, not so much the age number. A lot of people, with all due respect, already by the time they're 40, 45, say, well, I'm done, I can't do anything anymore. And I say, no, stay active mentally, physically, diet, be aware, because, that as you get older, the quality of life becomes more and more critical.
Yep.
And there is nothing you can't do, with some
You only
luck,
have so much
but
control,
also being careful about, already earlier in life is, taking care that your body is unique and a gift, really, and very forgiving. But it will only tolerate so much abuse for so long.
Yeah.
But it is very, very forgiving, and
I'm actually very passionate about this subject.
Yeah.
I want to live to 120. This is a goal that I have. Now, granted, I could hopefully not, but get hit by a bus tomorrow, and there's nothing I can do about that. But I eat the way I eat, and I train the way I train, and I live the way I live for longevity, not to look a certain way. And it's something I've been into for a few years. And even if it doesn't happen, I believe I will have a better quality of life with the thought process of, I turned 40, I'm only a third of the way there.
Exactly.
And I think, this is my theory, if everybody lived believing that the expected lifespan is 150 or 200, I think more 60-year-olds would go back to school and learn something new.
I agree with you 100%.
And it wouldn't be so scary to change careers at 40 or 45 because you're not even halfway there.
And so the key for me is that Living Young, Dying Old is coming out in June of next year.
Oh, that's exciting.
And I'm going to consider your comments, if you're interested in it, to become part of that book. And
that'd be
and I have a number
fabulous.
of people that that I will interview, and to look at their lifestyle, and you would be a fit for that, no question about
I
that.
love it.
So I'll stay in touch with you on it. The whole objective there was that like me, even at 83, I believe the same as you do. I have not set the goal at 120, but I kind of say, well, at least 100, but 120 is okay with me too.
Yeah.
Because then I still got 50% to go, on top of what I already have.
Yeah.
So the and then, but the combination of all those issues is so critically important: mental health, physical health, diet, and then remaining active. And I have one of the things that I have 25/40/70. You wonder what it is we'll talk about it a little bit. When I arrived in Prince George, 1965, July 1965, I could speak language. I didn't have a job. I didn't know a soul, but I was going to build a lumber mill, and I had $25.47 in my pocket. And obviously I did that. And then, but the thing in particular that's important to me is attitude. Avoid the negative.
Yes.
Find your passion, and then work ethic. And the harder you work, success will come.
Yep.
And I'm a very strong believer in that. And those kind of things.
Mindset or attitude is such a game changer. It's such a game changer. I was talking to my cousin actually the other day, and she says to me, she says, "You don't really worry about things." I said, "Well, no, it doesn't help. I can control what I can control. And if something is going wrong or might go wrong that I can't control, I can't do nothing about it anyway. So I might as well see what happens and deal with it then."
Right.
So I very actively try not to worry. And sometimes things happen, kind of catch me off guard, and I'll reset and be like, "No, don't worry. Deal with it as much as I can, whatever the thing is."
Yeah.
But I think I know that's helped me through a lot of things, because so much wasted energy, stress, worrying about things you can't control anyway makes no sense to me.
And I do the same.
Yeah.
And and
You'll live longer that way.
yeah, and I don't get stressed too easy.
Yep.
And I deal with the issues as they develop. I likely have seen them already a couple of times before,
Yes.
so I know what to do. And then when when I decided to write the first book, this one here, Against All Odds, I've been thinking about a book, and people tell me, you have an interesting life. You should write a book about it. And I thought about it for quite a while, actually. And so this book is really about 80 years of living, 20 years of thinking about writing a book, and then it took me 2 years to do it. It's an autobiography.
Yeah.
The interesting part about an autobiography, I never wrote a book in my life, and you cannot write two autobiographies. Once you do one, you better do it right, because you cannot say, "Oh, okay, I don't like this one, I'll do another one."
Yeah.
There is only one of them, and but I liked it and I enjoy it as part of what I do. And then, obviously, I'm also ADHD.
Yep.
I call it a superpower.
Good for you. I agree with that 100%.
And I find it so often that with the book on ADHD, which is interesting, is that it took me a long time to find out that I really was ADHD.
Yeah.
I was not
That's
very
common.
successful in school. I failed grade 3 and I failed grade 7 3 times, and then got a job, became a furniture maker.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt that I had been a failure. And it was not until I was already here in Prince George and kind of felt that I had to start over new again.
Yeah.
With nothing, and that's why I came here. I had to go someplace else, take $150 when I left Amsterdam. By the time I got to Prince George, I had $25.47, because I knew I could do it, but I had to prove it to myself, and started out with nothing. And then when I was 57, in 1997, I walked into the store on 3rd, Books on 3rd, and I found this one book, and the book's title was Driven to Distraction.
Okay.
I don't know why I picked it up, and I looked at the book, and it was about ADHD, and I said, "Oh my God, that's me!" And I bought the book, and I wrote into it in Dutch. Now I finally know who I am,
Yep.
and it kind of changed my life then.
Yep.
And then, first I was ashamed about it. The more I got to know about it, the more I realized that that there were more and more people that are affected by it, and I felt I had to write a book about it, and so that's what I did.
Good.
This one came out last year.
Yes.
Has been quite popular, actually.
Good.
And, I find more and more I meet people that are affected by that. And I say the book is important for not only mine, but other books about the topic of adhd, because you will meet people in your circle, either your family or people in your friends or your employees or people that you know, because the frequency of occurrence of ADHD, in my opinion, is probably as high as 20% of the population, if not higher.
Yeah.
And it was never thought to be that high, but it's only recently that it has become more and more to the surface.
I have 2 friends who have been recently diagnosed ADHD, both in their 30s. And one of my friends said, she's like, I was living my life on hard mode and I didn't even realize it. And she would tell us, and she's been my friend a long, long time, but she would tell us little things that she would or wouldn't do. And I was like, I didn't know that was a difficult thing for you. And now that she's been diagnosed and then medicated, she's like, life is just easier. Things just work better. It's not so scary to go to 2 grocery stores. Yeah. So things like that. So yeah, it's
so
really cool.
Important. And it's only just now the stigma is starting to disappear.
Thank goodness.
At least I hope I have a little bit to do with that. And are your friends here in town locally?
Yes.
I'm going to give you 2 more books of the ADHD
to
get and sign them for them, so you can.
I will
get
pass
them
those on for sure. Yeah.
But for me it changed everything, but up to the time that I was really 57, and I felt I was a failure. And a lot of people said to me, look, you got this beautiful operation, you got all these businesses, and I didn't feel that way at all. I felt I still as a failure until I saw that book, and and then realized, that
you were living life on hard mode. Yeah.
It's an asset, you know. So anyway, so that about ADHD. Now, just coming back to you in. So if, you've been immensely successful in your business, and is that really, do you do other things then, then stay, it is important if somebody becomes a member or buys a membership, then you have to be physically fit as well before you start.
No, that is probably the biggest misconception we have. Is that people need to have be a certain weight or have a certain fitness level or certain flexibility before they start. When I started, I could not touch my toes. I had very, very poor flexibility. I could not lift myself off the ground.
Yeah.
When someone comes into beginner class, we've got all shapes and sizes and fitness levels and flexibility levels all across the board. Every body can do it.
Right.
The progression rate will change based on what's your sleep habits, how often are you practicing, right? Those kinds of things. But everybody starts the same and everybody can do it. We don't start upside down where you stand, grab the pole and kick your feet up.
No.
We start, you lay on the floor and you learn what muscles to use and how to engage them.
Exactly.
So it's safer and accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
So that's again, probably the biggest misconception, and also really important. That's the first thing I hear is, I can't do that. I'm too whatever. Too old is another one, which is probably why I'm looking forward to getting older, because even I think last year at the fair, I had a woman say, I'm too old. I'm almost 40. And I said, me too. Come on down.
Come on down. Yeah, exactly.
So it's the older I get, the more I can disprove too old as well. So
And so that's what I do as well.
Yeah.
You know, saying that the interesting part about it is what you do and what fitness is doing in a general sense is that it creates confidence.
Yes.
For a lot of people that that are reluctant to go to gyms because they feel they don't look good or they're self-confidence. I was one of them.
Yeah.
So I started to go in earnest, likely in 2008, to the gym, and then I knew I needed to get a trainer because that
Smart.
creates for me an appointment that I have.
Yeah.
I have to go to, and then I was out of shape, felt that I was not in good shape and needed that trainer. And then after being in the gym for about 6 years, somebody said at one point to me, "Have you ever thought about competing?" And I said, "Me?" And then as you well know, your body starts to change, and all of a sudden you get that confidence. You have the trainer guiding you, and then from that point forward, 2008, I was already 68. I started after 6 years, then I was nearly in my early to mid 70s, and I started to compete in bodybuilding and physique, first locally, qualified for the provincials, then the nationals, and then the Arnolds.
Yeah.
And saying everything is possible. But the more important part about it is that it creates that confidence.
Oh, it's huge. I could spend hours and hours telling you stories over the years. One story in particular, I had a girl, I think she was about 16 maybe at the time, maybe 16, 17. And she started taking classes very quiet, very reserved. Her mother would drive her and she didn't want her mom to leave the building. So her mom would sit on the couch in the foyer where she could see her daughter and vice versa. And she'd do her class and go, and which is fabulous. I knew it was a big deal for her to be there. In the studio, and I'm sure it's true in lots of places, I know where I'm at. So in the studio, again, if you're in there, and I think it's a great place for teenagers specifically, everybody is telling everybody how great they are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, and it's like we wear shorts and sports bras and all sizes, and everybody is being told how great they look and how great they're doing.
Exactly.
And I think that's a fabulous energy for kids, especially adults as well, but particularly kids and teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that is not the vibe they get out in the normal person land.
Right.
So this girl's coming in and she's being encouraged, and now she's thinking about performing. Her mom drops her off and picks her up, but she walks in. She's her own person, and she's grown so much. She helps other people in class.
Confidence, right?
And it's amazing to see.
Yeah.
And I've seen that. I could tell you many stories of that same scenario where someone walks in like this, and over the course of weeks they start walking in like this, and it's incredible. That's the most important thing to me.
I feel the same as you do. I'm very active being a speaker, and wherever the opportunity is available, talk to young persons in particular. But talking about everybody has to have that confidence. They are unique and each in different ways, but everyone is unique in their own, own way and special.
Yeah.
And opportunities are out there for you, to be proactive, and so important, right?
Yeah. We kind of joke within the studio that we're more therapists than anything. Because people come in and not like, sometimes there's cry fests and hugs going on, people coming through and they're having heavy days, but I think what makes the studio and everybody in the studio family is less about the fitness and more about everything else that happens, and the fitness is a side effect of the family we've built.
Create that
and
friendship.
and it's incredible. Like, I couldn't ever give it up. I
Yeah.
can't picture myself retiring or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really cool to see.
So you've had the facility where you are located now. So how do you look now? You're an entrepreneur as well.
Yes.
And in other areas, you're active on social media, very active, in
Yep.
fact. And so as you look forward for yourself and your company, how do you see yourself moving forward?
Oh gosh, it's funny. I had I was talking to another business owner a few months back, and she said, "What are your goals, Angel?" And so I started talking about renos I want to do in the studio, and classes I want to add, and staff I want to bring on. And she said, "What are your non-work related goals?" I said, "I don't understand the question. My whole life is that studio." Moving forward, I mean, we expanded the studio. We moved into the space next door last year, so we just doubled the capacity. I'm doing this huge hiring spree, so I've got more instructors coming on so we can add more classes. On a personal level, I'm actually trying to step back, not because I want to, but because I want to be able to. I'm at a point in the studio where I can't, it's really hard for me to leave. And I've been doing this almost 16 years, and I've got my dad is ill. He's got Lou Gehrig's, and my grandmother's 97. She's down at the coast.
Whoa.
And so I would like to be able to go down there and see her without shutting the studio down.
Yeah.
So we've been doing training processes for my administrative staff and adding instructors so I can step back if needed. That being said, I just want to keep growing. I don't want to add another location. I think the one location where we're at is totally suffice for me.
But you did, in fact, double the size.
We did double the size. We
So
went from 1,700 to
it does not
3,500
have
square
to
feet.
be
Yep.
at
No.
another, because the best location is the one next door, right?
That's right. Yeah, we just punched a hole through the wall, and so you come in, and we've got now 2 studios, so we can have up to 3 classes going on at once, and we often do. And so it's busy and fabulous. And
But I find the most important part, of being an entrepreneur and, is right-sizing the company.
Yep.
And right-sizing to me means that the first 30 years that I had that company, I was there 7 days a week. As long as I could stay physically awake, and I used to say, if I go home, I live on North Nechako, then I would go home usually 3 times. I'm halfway home and saying, I wonder what happened to that forklift truck. Did they park it in the middle of the railroad, or because we got rail in there? And then I think of something else. Oh, how about that? Turn around, go back again, and so I live the company. And then now it's a tough time right now in a lot of businesses, but we probably much larger. We have a number of lumber companies, and then we are in the warehousing and logistics, about 10 or 12 different companies. And even so, it is still quite demanding on me, at least mentally.
Yes.
In my mind, is I like to get to the point where I was born in Holland, and I haven't been there back, although I still have an apartment there. I have not been back there since before COVID. I'm thinking about going there, but I always think in terms of it's a tough time, and can I leave, can I not leave? Is to find that way in which you can step back. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of other things as well. I have lots of energy. That is ADHD, I think. I'm working on 2 more books for next year.
it's so awesome.
Yeah, and then the other part is obviously one very active in the podcasting. I love it.
Yeah.
So and then still going to the gym and doing that sort of thing, and but right sizing is the critical part.
Yep.
And then the other part that made you so successful and that's why I believe to become bigger, you did that already by going next door, because it does not change. What made you successful is the culture that is based around you, and that you transfer to the people that you work with, and that's what makes you unique in what you're doing. And you know, and but it's also fragile, so that if you step away from it and you do not have the culture continue, then very quickly it could change, and you know, and you know, it's too precious because you build it like I did with my company, you know, with 3 employees for me, right across the street from you, virtually, you know, and to bring it to that level is very rewarding, but at the same time delicate. Yeah,
it is. The hiring process is a big part of that. I exclusively hire in-house, so people that, like, for instructors, usually students, get them certified. And a big reason for that is because they know the culture of the studio. They've been in it, they've been a part of it, and they've experienced it. I can't teach that.
No.
It's so to have somebody from outside of the studio who's never been in it, I can't. I've tried before, it just doesn't quite work, and I've had great staff, but that culture and community an environment just can't be taught. You have to be involved in it to understand it.
Yeah.
So I've got, I think, 10 or 11 employees, and all of them previously, I had just hired 4 more people the other day. It's crazy, but it's been good. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. We have our systems and processes, but I don't teach my staff to be kind and encouraging. That's something that's inherent in them, and that's why they got hired.
Right.
Which is a really big part of it, because that's part of who we are. I mean, ideally, that's part of who everybody is unfortunately not the case, but it's a big part of who the studio is. Everybody is amazing, and everybody is, if you walk in that door, you're family.
Yeah, I try to do the same in our companies.
Of course,
be respectful.
Yeah.
You know, and saying that, you know, we all like our jobs, we like to produce products that are liked by the marketplace, do things well, and have the reputation, saying that, be very, you know, fortunately in my particular case, same as you, is that I'm the sole owner of all the companies, and I grew up in Europe in particular, where being part of the community is so important, and being active in the communities is very important, always has been very important to me. The other part that has been important to me, and that we have in common, is that I'm very sensitive to animal welfare. Yeah. And we worked very closely with people like Nicola, and you know, and a number of other people that are very active in those areas. And I know you are as well very involved in animal welfare. Yeah,
I mean, the Humane Society is our neighbors.
Yeah.
So we see them quite a bit. I've had, I mean, many pets, so I have a big spot in my heart for animals. So yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, who doesn't love animals anyway? But yeah, between the Humane Society, SPCA, and rescue, like the exploration place got rescue animals as well, and stuff like that is huge. So yeah.
The other part, you know, like I've always been considering, and I don't consider myself an old guy. Some other people would say I'm an old guy, but you know, I don't act like it, and I don't want to be that, and I want to live till I'm 120 as well, same as you do.
Yeah.
And you know, kind of thinking about that is that you know, that the internet is becoming more and more active, and social media is becoming more and more active. If you think of podcasting alone, you know, relatively new. You know, and you know, and so when I started really in an active way podcasting, like in your case, you're 146 for us, do 3 a week.
Yeah.
At least, so that, we should be at 200
Pretty quickly.
Fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And, and which makes us kind of unique in the podcasting area. Most of the podcasters don't survive through the first initial ones.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have the fortune that we have amazing staff that work with us, and and then be getting more and more activity from people internationally that want to be on our podcast, and it's amazing how it all picks up, and
snowballs.
it
Yeah.
makes you then wonder. It makes me even wonder as to what else can we do in social media that kind of fits with the things that I do, especially being active in entrepreneurship and other issues and other things. That ADHD is one of them, that are of concern to many other people in the world. You know? So. And I see that as an area that I probably will become much more active in.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah, social media is, I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it can be the source of not wonderful things.
Yeah.
But I find it relatively easy to filter the negative out.
Right.
For the most part. So I mean, it's no secret, I have a blast with social media. I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and I love doing lives and
TikTok.
Lip syncs and all the things. It's I think it's really fun, but it also can be a very powerful tool for lack of a better term, causes or missions, or if you're trying to accomplish something and do good in the world. It's
Right.
really easy to get the word out there to the whole world. So I think it's a fabulous thing.
Yeah, and you've been active in it for a long time already,
Yes.
right from the early stages.
Yep.
Which is likely part of your success as well.
Could be.
Yeah, and then part of the future, because it then becomes a question of that. I know many people that have become more and more active, on the internet in terms of fitness and lifestyles and interaction of some sort. You're an excellent communicator, and obviously you've been immensely successul as an entrepreneur, and certainly of interest to a lot of people around the world.
Yeah, I think I've always said sales is a transference of emotion. And I think people can see, more so lately even, when someone is being inauthentic. So, I mean, I'm genuinely excited about what I do. I don't have to fake it. It would be hard for me to fake it. So I think people can see that, and then they're excited because they can see I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I post my excitement on social media because I'm excited, and I want everybody to know about whatever it is we're doing next.
Yeah,
So
I do the same. I have this passion.
Yeah, that's right. You do. I've seen it. Yeah.
I love life. I love the things that I'm doing. I love Canada. I love BC. I love Northern British Columbia. I love the things that I'm doing. And, and for me, it doesn't take much to. I usually, I usually get up around 5:30 in the morning, and and then I'm always in a hurry.
Yep.
I think I'm late, and I always make my bed. We have also a place in Noord Sandwich. My wife is in Noord Sandwich.
Okay.
And and then for the weekends I go there Friday afternoon, because if I stayed in Prince George, I'd be at the mill 7 days a week, and I have to mentally be able to separate from it.
Yeah.
And then come back Monday morning. But I love it, and the key is, as we said earlier, and you already alluded to as well, is that to make sure that after 8 years you're going to take a holiday in the next couple of weeks to Hawaii.
Yes.
And to get that break.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, going to Maui for 10 days with some friends. So yeah, it's going to be good. I told my office manager that I will not be available I'll back up any decisions she makes. Don't contact me. If she burns the studio down, that's okay, because I've been through that before too. So it's, we had a fire about 10 years ago. So yeah, this is going to be a good brain break for me. So yes.
Yeah, and at the same time, so when did you, I didn't realize that you had acquired the property next door.
Yeah, last year, April. We had a special. I love fun sales. I have a lot of fun with them. So we had Pi Day on March 14th,
right.
314. And so we had a promotion, fairly small promotion, but we did have it. And we had 17 new people sign up. Most of them are still members now, which is fabulous. And our classes were packed, just like waitlisted everywhere. And I went, we only had 17 people sign up. And we were at the BCNE last year as well, so that was lined up, and that's 4 days, that's a huge one. I said, we got to grow, we got to find a bigger space or something, or we're not going to be able to fit anybody else in the studio. So I called the property manager, found out it was available, and it turned out the unit next to us, which was previously Taekwondo space, and they had moved, was open, so we took that over. Took a month to drywall and paint and lay floor, and yeah, we opened that up, and last May was the first time, so May 2022.
Right. And
grew and grew. We grew this into the space. So yeah, it's been just crazy to think about.
Yeah. Location, very good one, right?
Yes, we're right on First Avenue. So yeah, it's been good there.
Yeah.
We have beautiful big windows that we get painted, and yeah.
So then kind of looking at back, so so for people that are watching us, that in the region here that are interested in, at least becoming a little bit more knowledgeable. The studio is now twice the size that it was before.
Yes.
The coming down and you would give them an introduction to, this is what. As you already said earlier, then feel welcome to come down and look and get a feeling of it. That as overall fitness, that if you do it well, it will be overall, it's not limited to one thing or the other. It creates overall fitness, and also in regards to diet and other advice, that somebody may want guidance on.
Yeah, we do like I've done meal plans and nutritional guidance. I don't do a lot of it, but I do it, and I'm qualified to do it. So we do have that. The different classes we have, we've got pole and hoop, aerial yoga, flexibility, animal flow, which is a weird one to explain, but if you Google it, you'll find it amazing. So many different classes. And yeah, it's the only workout I do is in my own studio, and I'm in the best shape of my life, so must be doing something right.
Well, you look great.
Yeah, thank you.
And so does everybody that works at the people that I do know.
Yeah.
And and then at the same time, for people that like to know a little bit more about it, your website is very active as...
Yeah, so our website is angelsaerial.com.
Okay.
What I do always say, because no one can spell Ariel, which is fine, it's not the mermaid, but if someone's struggling with the spelling, just Google pole dancing Prince George, you'll find me.
Yeah. Okay, and that gives them then an idea about it, and then also go Google. There's lots on the internet about pole dancing.
Yeah, and go down that rabbit hole for sure.
Yeah, and
on all social medias.
So, anything else that comes to mind that you want to mention or ask?
No, we covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah,
this has been fabulous. Go ahead.
I like you to stay in touch, and I will stay in touch with you on the new book that I'm going to put out. It's coming out next June. It's Living Young, Dying Old, and that fits.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah,
like I said, it's a very big passion of mine.
input into it to a certain extent as well.
Of course.
You know, people that I believe are very interesting in sharing their views. You know,
yeah, that's fabulous. I'm very excited for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anything else that comes to mind?
Off the top of my head, no. I mean, anybody listening wants to come down, come hang out with us for a couple of weeks. We're at the fair again. We're at the BC&E this year, which is so much fun for me. So I'm glad we're going to be there and do demos, and we'll have a hoop set up instead of a pole this year. So
okay, and that is at what location?
At the CN Center in the
Center?
Kins, yeah.
And that will be when?
Mid-August, so August 18th. Or 17th
Oh, that's
or 20th.
fairly soon already.
Yeah,
right?
It's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm going to go down there for sure.
Yeah.
So I invite everybody to be there and see you guys.
Of course. Yeah.
So. Angel, it was my pleasure.
Thank you. Mine as well.
Of
course. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.